Daredevil, Born Again.
Woo!
It's here.
Finally.
And we are here to react to the first half.
First 4 episodes. There's going to be 9, I think.
Oh, is there 9? I thought there was...
So
almost sort of the first half. Anyway. Very much looking forward to this show. It's here now. It very much is a continuation of the Netflix show. And Jen, you should watch it.
I know. I was going to say I didn't see either yet. So you guys have been telling me that. And Logan, I think I'm still supposed to watch that too. God. I haven't seen that yet either. Really but so the original was on Netflix, and this is
on
the same actors and
same actors, different creative team though.
Okay.
And it's interesting. That's one of the first things I'll say. So I'll say just quick overall reaction. I think I've been really, really, with a couple of nitpicks, I've been really pleased with the show so far, both in how much it does pick up and emulate the vibe of the series and takes it in a different direction, and some interesting things. My memory is a little, especially the first season of the original show, isn't. I want to get into some of the things that feel a little bit different from this show to that show. What's your initial reaction?
Oh yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I love it so far. I think it is, they're doing a really good job of balancing, taking from the old show and bringing it into different directions. You can definitely tell the difference between the two shows, but I would say I like this a lot because it's a little bit snappier. It's a little bit less talky and contemplative, which some people might not like, but to me it feels a little bit more.
It's funny, I've heard those as complaints about this show. Well, I've heard as complaints about this show is there's not enough superhero stuff. And I think that's actually, because I feel like it's coming.
Right.
And we're going to get little bits and pieces here and there, but I feel like, I guess not to get too far ahead, but I just to respond to that criticism, my sense is that we're very much building towards something.
It just feels like more happens almost per episode. And just there's a lot less contemplating about the morality of being a hero, and it's more just you're seeing a whole different, more legal stuff, I think, because there wasn't really a whole ton of that besides the second season with Punisher.
Right.
In the original series. It was kind of always tangential, but here you're right in the courtroom, and it also feels like it's bringing in some more fantastical, well, I guess not to say that, because there was the hand and everything in the original series, but feels a little bit more MCU with new heroes and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Overall, it's funny. I see some things, because I kind of felt, as I think back on especially the first season of the original show, there was a lot of that, almost what I would call even sci-fi elements of the hand and that guy's stick, and going back into the accident and how Matt Murdock got his powers. And it leaned into a lot of those sort of elements where this, to me, but you do have the White Tiger and his amulet, and you do have some of the other things that are going on, but yet this one feels very grounded at the same time too, because it's much more a Matt Murdock courtroom drama, and then Kingpin now becoming just Wilson Fisk and becoming the mayor of New York. I love the fact that this, to me, I feel like it's some people's complaints, but it's one of the things that I like about it is it feels so much like a just human drama and not even a superhero show at times.
Well, it's funny because leading up to the release of the show, there was all this kind of behind-the-scenes drama, as there has recently been with all the Marvel projects, but that they brought in, they kind of phased out the original people that were doing it and brought in a new creative team, even not from the beginning of the Disney Plus production. There was new people that were different from the Netflix production team, and then they felt that they weren't doing a good job, so I guess they brought newer people in to bring more connections to the original show and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I just saw a tweet or something, or a story about a tweet from Vincent D'Onofrio saying, because I know there was a lot of reshoots, and I know there was a lot of controversy about the theme of the show, and there was that whole thing about it was going to be 22
it was going to be
almost network television style episodes, and then they I think that was a great idea. And somebody said it was almost going to be like a comedy, or having comedic elements to it. And supposedly, Vincent D'Onofrio said he and the cast went to Marvel and said,
"It's not working.
This is not, this." And they actually said, "This is what it should be." And they took their advice, and this is where we've ended up. So that was
it's funny too, because I've heard that the second and third episodes are almost entirely unchanged from, like, those are original shot for the original show. And it is funny though, because I remember hearing a rumor before it released that they're reshooting it because he didn't even show up in the Daredevil suit until like the 5th episode, but if you look at how it's gone, he really only has suited up once, and then it's been just him for 3 episodes now. So
I wonder if they decided like the comedy thing, maybe just because of the success of like Deadpool and some of the funnier, lighter sort of superhero movies, maybe they decided it was just copying too much and decided to bag it at the last minute.
Well, and it's very different from the Netflix show, which is very R-rated, and I don't think originally the Disney Plus show was going to be R-rated either, which they then went back and shot more violence, I guess. So, but it ended up good, and I guess that first episode is entirely reshoots. Which is interesting because it was a very good episode, but it does feel like it's very much like going back and saying, okay, we need to set all this stuff up.
Right.
Whereas if you had started with the second episode, like Fisk would have already been there, that sort of thing. So it's almost like they wanted to go back and really add those connective tissues to the original series. Right.
And I guess we're into spoilers. Obviously, Vincent D'Onofrio plays the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. He ends up becoming mayor. And he and Matt Murdock are both trying to say they are no longer the people that they used to be.
Right.
And no longer embracing violence. Matt being the Daredevil vigilante, and D'Onofrio being the Kingpin gangster. And he's hiding he's sort of smooshing down all his activities, and his wife is kind of running that show.
Right. Well, that's probably one of my favorite developments is they've almost like swapped them. Like he's almost like, because he was in jail for so long and she was kind of running everything. And it almost looks like she's becoming more of a Kingpin type character. Right. Obviously, they'll probably turn that on its head at some point once he goes ballistic on somebody, which he knows coming. But it is interesting, just that whole dynamic. Like he's almost like been knocked down a couple pegs, and she's like the head honcho now, and he's kind of trying to adjust to that.
And they're going through marriage counseling.
Right. That's hilarious.
Those are I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't like when they're in marriage counseling and sitting on the couch across from.
It's so awkward.
It's like, I guess it just feels.
It's just I think they're well done. And it's a cool kind of aspect to explore the relationship.
And I know Heather Glenn.
That's the shrink.
She's the shrink, right? And she's also becoming Matt Murdock's love interest in the show, and I know she has a big comic book story as well.
I guess she does. Yeah, I don't think I've read that.
So
particular.
There's no way being Kingpin's shrink is not going to get you in trouble sooner or later. So I'm worried about her. But it's interesting. They're both saying they've turned over a new leaf. I guess, and the reason why I brought up spoilers, I know I'm jumping around, sorry, is one of my nitpicks so far has been, and it was part of the thing of being one of the changes. If you remember, originally they're like, it's Charlie Cox and that's it, and it's a totally new story, and it's not gonna. It wasn't
no Foggy, no Karen.
It was gonna not even refer to the previous thing, or only vaguely. And everyone was so excited that they brought back Deborah Ann Woll, who you know from that vampire show,
True Blood.
True Blood.
Oh, I loved True Blood.
Yeah. And Eldon Henderson is Foggy. And once they did that, everyone was, that's what everyone wanted. So, and they built the marketing campaign around them being back. So I was really kind of pissed that it was such a bait and switch.
At least as far as we know so far, it's probably, they've already been, both of them have been announced for season 2.
Right, which based on what happens to Foggy, it's going to be kind of difficult. And they made it clear that Deborah Ann Karen Page is going to be very much out of the picture. She's in another state, but I've already seen set photos of season 2 where she's back.
She's all,
and she's all duded up. So there's definitely some stuff going on there. But I thought that once I got over it, I was just like, but I was really kind of annoyed.
I'm waiting to see, because if it ends and we don't get anything with them, then I would be kind of bummed. But based on stuff that's happened in the comics and like pretty much this exact same thing that has happened in the comics, and Foggy has come back alive. So there's always ways, especially in the comic book universe.
Well, I saw that fan post on Facebook or something that Foggy's a Skrull.
Oh yeah, well, and then they did mention Skrulls, which was interesting because I kind of thought that they were going to forget all about Secret Invasion after how dreadful it was, but I guess that kind of confirms that Secret Invasion did happen if random criminals are aware of Skrulls now. So
right, I do love that they are leaning into the connectivity to both the Netflix shows and the broader Marvel universe.
Right,
they've dropped a bunch of mentions about Avengers related stuff, and
that's actually what I was going to ask you guys. How does this fit in with the universe?
Of MCU? Very very well so far, and it hasn't felt forced.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, the Netflix show, there was that whole weird division between the previous Marvel television studios and the movies, and they didn't totally ignore but de-emphasize the larger MCU in the original Netflix show. There was references to what happened in New York, obviously,
right?
Stuff, but other than that. But this show seems to lean into it because they very much acknowledge the whole reason why Wilson Fisk was gone is because Echo shot him in the face.
Right, yep.
And he's been recovering.
Well, they directly talk about Echo.
Right, and he left. And so there's lots of stuff going on there. So I think that's very interesting that they're doing that.
Which is funny because I thought originally Echo was supposed to be almost like its own pocket universe where it wasn't going to be super related to anything else, but I guess not.
Getting into the performances, and again, which gets back into the drama level of this, and Fred, your dad mentioned this as well. I mean, D'Onofrio has been just outstanding. His acting is just incredible. I think Charlie Cox has been really great as well. All the performances have been good. We'd have to do a shout out to Kamar de los Reyes, who played the White Tiger, who actually passed away from cancer.
That stinks.
Shortly after.
He was very good.
I guess maybe not shortly after, but he was sick while they were filming this, and he, I guess, passed away not too long ago. So,
oh, that's so sad.
Rest in peace for him. He was really good.
I love that whole courtroom drama where originally they weren't going to talk about White Tiger, and then he kind of breaks the rules and reveals that he's White Tiger.
Yeah, there's a lot of good courtroom rules and stuff and machinations, and there's a lot of good stuff here for people, even if they're not superhero people.
I saw you look over at me when you said that. Honestly, you guys have 100% convinced me to watch it just in this conversation, so thank you. I'll definitely be checking it out.
And Gandolfini's kid.
I think he's very good, and I like his character.
Because his character's so not what you would expect. For this kind of a show, and his job that he has working for the mayor. And then by the fourth episode, which we just watched, John Bernthal makes his return as the Punisher, and his scene was awesome too. Both of them in that scene were excellent. So there's some really great acting in this show, and again, I think that's one of its strengths. Again, is it's going against type of a typical superhero show, and again, I would say to all that, what you can see what's happening here is having set themselves up to go in a totally different direction and be new people, whatever you want to call them. You're just seeing domino by domino how Matt and Wilson are being just pushed back into their having to
previous roles.
They're who they used to be, and it's going to explode.
Right. Yeah, really, really looking forward to it. I have a feeling next episode has to be when he suits up again.
So what do you think of the tease at the end of the third episode and whoever that person is who...
Oh, the
is that just another person who's going to have sort of a walk-on for a few episodes, or is that the big bad, or what do you think?
From what I understand, he's going to be probably the big bad of the season, aside from Fisk, obviously. But I can't say for sure. Yeah, that's Muse. He's like a serial killer artist guy that makes artwork out of his victims, which is really cool.
Is that why that's the R rating, you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, the violence? It seems like it's almost more violent in some ways than the original show, which is saying something because that show was pretty violent. But once he gets introduced, and I really like that stinger at the end because it was almost like Saw or something like horror movie.
Really creepy,
creepy, and he's just a cool villain. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with him.
But yeah, like the original show, they've kept the darkness, they've kept the grittiness, they've kept the street level of the original Netflix series. But that show got into a lot of the lore and the comic book and the Red Hand, and like I said before, sort of the comic backstory of a lot of things. Whereas again, this seems to be staying very much in the present. But in terms of violence, if you watch Netflix and you watch, does that happen in the first episode?
Fisk.
That fight scene in the hallway.
Oh yeah. Or no, I think it's the second episode.
Might be the second episode. Like, just teasing that for you. That is like one of the best like fight scenes in the history of fight scenes.
Yeah, that's really well. Every season has a really cool like they do it in one take, so it's all one shot where it's like the camera's swinging around.
But that was like groundbreaking, both for the actual like fighting itself as how it was filmed and just how intense it was. So
you have to watch the Netflix show first before you watch this one. And what is this one on?
This is
it's all on Disney.
Everything
Plus
got moved to Disney Plus now.
Okay.
So you can just start season 1 and just treat the new show like a season 4, basically. That's how I have seen
it.
Yeah,
just treat the new show like a season 4. There's also spin-off shows.
Oh, geez, if you really want to get
Luke Cage, Power Man, which is tied with Daredevil. There's Jessica Jones, and all of them I think will be coming back at some point.
Right. Yeah.
But you can just stick to.
Yeah, stick.
You can stick
the only thing
stick to Daredevil for now.
I could see is Defenders being confusing.
Yeah,
because you have to. It's not that great.
You can skip that. You can skip Iron Fist.
Oh god,
for sure.
I watched a really good. Someone cut Defenders into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
and it was really good. It felt like I was just watching it, and I watched it in preparation for season 3 because it happens in between season 2 and season 3, and then I watched season 3 onward. So if you really wanted to get the full story, I'd watch the Defenders movie that I found somewhere online. But no, that was good.
It seems like there's going to be, well, like I don't know if I said this. I think I said it before we started recording, but this Tony Dalton, Jack Duquesne, who's that character from Hawkeye.
Yeah, what is his name? The Swordsman or something like that?
Yeah, he was hilarious in Hawkeye. And he's coming back. I heard, I don't know how true this is or not, but I heard there's a Scarlett Johansson Matt Murdock scene.
What would the only thing is I don't like they've never interacted.
It's I think it's a flashback to pre-snap, and because Daredevil and Black Widow in the comics have a huge
they had a fling for a little bit,
a huge story, but I heard that she did a cameo.
That would be crazy.
But that might be a total online rumor.
Yeah, a lot of those. I've heard a lot of random people showing up in this that you never know about.
So exciting times ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Any other final thoughts? Anything on like the production or anything? I know a lot of people were screaming bloody murder about the CGI in the very first fight scene.
CGI, that fight scene I thought left a little bit to be desired.
It was a little clunky. But the CGI part of it, I remember thinking it was just super dark. I could hardly see anything.
It was a little dark and like cloudy and stuff. I would say the production, like I have a friend who loves the original Daredevil show, and he's a big cinematographer, director kind of guy. So he's like, well, it's very. The original show was super well done and artful, and this is a little bit more basic MCU cinematography. But that being said, I thought there was a lot of cool, different, unique flares, like how the black bars kind of they get bigger as he's focusing in, and the background goes all crazy, and that's really cool. But I would say it seems like it's a little bit more of a typical MCU. Like you can tell the difference between them actually shooting in New York and when they're just on a sound stage,
right.
In the CGI background and stuff. But
what's that room called? That new
room the volume.
The volume.
Yeah. It could be that too. But overall, I think it's been doing really well, and I like the CGI enhanced fight scenes. Like, I hope we see more of what we saw in She-Hulk when Daredevil showed up in She-Hulk,
that was
and
great.
He was all like flipping everywhere, grappling.
And isn't Tatiana Maslany supposed to make a
cameo? I would say her before Black Widow, but who knows?
The way the Black Widow thing was described was like it was some kind of like pre-Endgame flashback, and they just got like, maybe she told him to like cool it or something like that.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it would be cool, but
kind of like oh god, what's Jon Favreau's character's name?
Oh, Happy.
Kind of like how Happy was interacting with Spider-Man and telling him to like mind his P's and Q's kind of thing. Or Anthony Mackie with Ant-Man, that sort of a thing. Who knows? Again, it might be total BS.
We shall see. Yeah,
we shall see. All right, that's a wrap on the first sort of half.
First 4 episodes of Daredevil.
Thank you for listening on wherever you're finding our podcast. Please, wherever you are finding it, give us a like, subscribe, comment, etc., etc. That helps us. We will be making our diligent. We will definitely be back for the second half of Daredevil, and there's a ton of stuff coming out. Both Marvel, Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah, Thunderbolts looks great.
That looks fun. I think I'll enjoy seeing that one.
There's a bunch of horror movies, bunch of sci-fi stuff. I feel like the pace of content coming out is starting to recover from the strike and the leftover pandemic stuff.
Yeah, a lot of upcoming horror movies too. Woman in the Yard. Have you seen the trailer for that? That looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that does look. Oh, and that vampire movie with Haley Steinfeld and what's his name? The Black Panther director.
Oh, yeah, Sinners.
Yes,
yeah, Sinners.
That looks
really good.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm excited for that.
So, lots of stuff coming, and with it, we will be back.
Woo!
But thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you on the next one, guys.